All right, folks. Hello. My name is Michelle Perez. This is the Working On It podcast. As
No, it's
always,
not.
No, it's not. Hold
it's
on, we have to
actually the
restart.
Pig Iron
Retake.
podcast.
No,
Retake.
redo. We're not gonna
Retake.
Oh
use
my
that.
God.
It's not gonna use this bullshit.
Execute me in the
Cut it.
streets. Hi, I'm Michelle Perez. Oink oink. This is the Pig Iron podcast.
Oink oink.
That's the new slogan I've
Bitch, I'm gonna
decided
kill you.
on unilaterally, apropos of nothing. I'm joined as always by a menagerie of buddies. I'm going top down from the Zoom layout tonight. We are with Ruben. We're with Michelle Perez. We are with Eliza Gager. We are with Jake. And folks, we are with Lucy. Omnibuddies. The buddies that all other buddies are derived from. I kind of had some early thoughts I wanted to get out of the way before we got into our topic proper. A little serious stuff we talked about because we've been doing more meetings about the podcasts, and we'll be letting you in on our plans for the future, which are numerous, very good, and positive. In the near future, I could say we are going to be doing some DIY subjects that sort of reflect the current era, referring to DIY trans care, as well as DIY abortion care. I feel these are very important topics right now, and that this sort of mentality applied to your life, like directly, is something you absolutely should have at your disposal. And as a proponent of free speech, I think it's absolutely essential we share important resources like this. It's something you, without getting too moralistic about this, wait, I guess that's self-negating. You have a moral imperative sometimes to learn about shit like this, honestly. Beyond that, I kind of had some roundtable questions I wanted to ask you guys about two things that happened to me recently that are kind of on the lighter side of things. One, did any of you watch the Batman? And if so, did you enjoy the film or did you not enjoy the film?
I love the Batman. I love that bat, that patter bat, the Batterson. It's great.
My husband went out and watched it.
Did
you hear anything cool?
Yeah, they like it.
So here's the thing. My husband really enjoyed it, but he tried to get me to go with him to watch it a couple weeks ago, and then I talked him into watching Jackass instead because I didn't want to watch a 3-hour fucking movie for a comic book.
I agree with your priorities. I would also do that, and I love Batman, but I would see Jackass before Batman.
Yeah,
that's
so I saw that
fucking
instead.
fair.
But I heard this one is good, but the thing is, I'm skeptical because it's a fucking comic book movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I've never seen a good DC comic book movie specifically.
Yes.
I have
These are
not
valid
seen it
concerns.
yet. I am going on Friday to a theater a friend of mine has rented for 20 people.
Ooh,
Yes.
Ooh.
we got a lucky duck here,
So
folks.
we are splitting like $250, 20 ways, so not that much overall.
Yeah, it just
Oh,
becomes like
okay.
a regular movie ticket. I did that with Godzilla.
That's
Yep.
kind of cool,
And
honestly.
everyone there I know will be someone who is vaxxed and wearing a mask and stuff, not some
Mhm.
rando.
Yeah.
And I'm excited. I love Batman. Little known fact, I am a huge fan of that guy. Grew up when his cartoon was out. That was very good.
If anyone's on Lucy's fence, I fucking hate comics, but this was very good. I love seeing
There you
Robert Pattinson.
The other thing, Robert Pattinson was kind of a draw for me because I saw him in a Cronenberg movie recently where he was a really good actor in.
Is it the one where he's a taxi driver guide sort of fella?
So he's not the taxi driver, but if you're thinking of the same movie, it's Cosmopolis, which is about like a Wall Street guy who bets against the yen dropping a whole bunch and like completely fucks it up, and he's like a super psychopath.
Oh yeah, Internet Sentences was talking about.
Yeah, she was the one who recommended the film to me, and I was like texting her while I was watching it.
Internet Sentences is like
is this a
one of the top Tumblr accounts at this point. She's very fucking cool.
I want to
She's made
ask.
one of the funniest posts on this website where she said, "quote unquote," the Federal Reserve is my blorbo.
Yeah, she. God, we should get internet sentences on the podcast. Actually, she does. I don't know if she's really like a DIY person, but she's just a very interesting poster.
Okay.
Yeah.
She dates a lot of people in like New York's like high echelon finance, so she has like a look behind the curtain of how insane all these people are, and it's very refreshing to see.
Right, and on top of that, she's like she's a hot girl autist, you know, that type. But she was like homeschooled by weirdos in the woods, and then like moved to New York City, and has this totally alienated perspective from these like finance guys in fleece vests, and her posts about it are just incredible. So yeah, that might be an interesting internet person to have on the
Ooh.
podcast.
Okay. Myself, I was okay with Batman, but I initially fucking hated it. But I had time to think about it, and I I don't think it's a sea change in the character as say Denny O'Neil Batman, or of course post Tim Burton Batman, where he becomes a massive sort of icon. This is more like a slightly different take, but also has enough corny conceits. I think the biggest thing was everyone keeps talking around this because they generally keep saying he does an Italian accent, but Colin Farrell is essentially trying to do James Gandolfini as Tony Soprano, right down to the cadence and the way he sort of bridges together words and berates people in the Batman. It is it is hilarious that no one says anything about this, and it fucks with me. Um, I don't know, Eliza. You're very not into sequels, but did you see it at all, or?
No, but I'm a supporter of the concept of Robert Pattinson Batman,
Mm-hmm.
especially given all of the really great pull quotes he has been producing about Batman. Like he masturbates 15 times a day. Um, God, what was some of the other stuff?
It's mostly about him
He said
being
that
into Joy Division and being sad.
Yeah,
he also
yeah,
said like if this film flopped, he was going to do porn.
right.
He's really just been trolling everyone about this, and I love
I
it.
mean,
Yeah, he's very
I
fun with
love
the press.
him as a celebrity because he is very much aware in kind of an inverted way of Shia LaBeouf, where instead of like taking his own celebrity very seriously and trying to treat it as an art piece, he's just like, this is fucking stupid. Celebrity itself is ridiculous. I'm gonna lie to everyone as much as possible. I mean, that was something he said recently. He's like, yeah, I just lie in interviews constantly, all the time.
I mean,
Um,
yeah, it's very endearing.
It
Good
It's
for
seems
also
like
him.
super funny.
it seems
He's
like
like
he
the
really
Git Fiscal of celebrities.
he
Yes.
seems to have figured this out at a fairly early age, which I think is fun about him. And I don't think too hard about celebrities that much, but
Having a
um,
personality is important.
when you look at like all the roles he's played, you can see how it's kind of interesting. Like that's what gets me thinking about it. And
Mm.
I genuinely think this dude figured out early on that if he did Twilight, he could do whatever the fuck he wanted after that.
And he did.
And it was
He
like the
really
payoff.
did.
Yeah, and like he hasn't done
Um,
a single thing like Twilight since. He's only done like indie flicks or stuff that he's interested in or
He's-
stuff that he's produced. And the only reason he did the Batman was because I guess like what's his butts Matt Reeves like convinced him, or if he thought it was like novel enough to go back. But it's like this is like the first blockbuster thing he has done, I think, since a Twilight that count, you know, like like a really big action movie. I feel like every other Robert Pattinson movie I saw was, you know,
I mean,
like
he had a minor
Cosmopolis,
role in a
High
Harry
Life.
Potter film.
and he
Right.
did.
And
He
that's
did
another
rom
early
com stuff.
that's
also.
another early on thing. But I don't think that minor role in Harry Potter paid him as much as the Twilight series does, right? And continues to do.
Right.
Yeah, I
Which
mean,
is what I mean.
he
Which is
Mhm.
what I mean by he's like very smart. Like he did
he
that
really
one shit early on.
established his cred with the
Yeah.
Lighthouse.
Oh, that too.
Um,
Yeah, that was a good one.
After the Lighthouse, it was like, okay, this is a real actor. This is not a pretty boy.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, have you ever seen him in Good Time?
That was the other
No.
one that really,
Good
I think,
Time or
launched him
High
off.
Life,
Yeah,
which
those three
came
I think of.
before The Lighthouse, were
Yeah.
really part of his.
Those are his. Like,
Okay, what do I do when I don't have like someone that is as obvious and on the nose as Cronenberg? And to great and some of the imagery from High Life is just insane.
I've heard very mixed things about that movie, but I've
Oh,
heard
yeah,
good things
yeah,
from
yeah.
people who I trust.
I want to get into the last one before we get into the topic proper. Not running for time here, but I had a sort of transformative experience. But it's not going to be wrapped up in my usual long-winded shit. I am a constant searcher, namely in the field of drugs and specifically psychedelics. I don't talk about it at length all the time, but I had a pretty significant experience with LSD, and I don't know if any of y'all done it. Just cavalierly, I'm throwing this out here. If you don't want to talk about it, that's cool. Also,
I'll go
Considered
first.
it, but no.
Yeah,
Nick, have you done LSD?
Yeah, yes, yeah, I've done acid.
Okay.
Several times, but not in, oh God, close to a decade.
fair enough.
Yeah, not in 8 years. I think the last time I did acid was like 2014. And it wasn't a lot. The only time I've done a lot of acid was like one time in or on a spring break from college, back with some friends from high school, and it was a very fun experience, I must say. Not a lot to say personally about it. You know, it's really all about what you make of it. So
Yeah.
everyone's acid story is significantly less interesting to other people than them typically. But you know, I don't really have anything against the drug, and other than using it to coerce people into doing crazy shit, which apparently
was about to
may or may
say,
not have happened. But my feelings of it are generally it's fine. You know, I have a cousin that worked for this guru who was one of the people that was doing experiments with acid like way back in the day.
Oh wow.
Did a lot of acid. Yeah, it's unfortunate because that guy's dead now, and I really wanted to try and endear myself to my cousin a little bit more and get some acid sent, but that is what it is. It ain't happening no more.
Some L's in the chat, damn, or
yeah.
F's. L is a
Yeah,
entirely different letter.
R.I.P. Ram Dass, I guess.
So it goes.
So it goes. Yeah. But no, that's all I have to say about it, really.
Anyone else in the room and etc.
Who else?
I'm straight edge as fuck. I don't do any fucking drugs.
Yeah, Ruben's very
That's
edge.
good. Yeah. Question mark. No, I'm playing.
I would love to someday, and I've had the opportunity to, but like it was never the right time.
Yeah, there's also like acid's one of those things where there like microdosing is like whatever, like materially a thing. Like you can take less of acid and not have a less intense time, or you can take a lot of acid and have a very intense time. So that's like it's just one of those things that everyone should keep in mind when they go into it if they have that experience. Like I've taken small amounts of acid to go see musical bands play. It's been great. If I was on much larger amounts of acid, probably wouldn't have been as great.
Very true.
No, I don't have a lot of experience with psychedelics, and the experience that I do have was extremely disappointing because it turns out that psychedelics give you gave me anyway, the same experience that I have when I'm just regular crazy. So it was kind of like I was on mushrooms and I was thinking to myself, this is actually really offensive that normal people just sort of climb into the magical mystery tour bus and are crazy for a few hours and then they stop being crazy. And that's a transformative experience for them. Nothing I experienced on psychedelics or ketamine infusions, which I got clinically as an attempt to treat depression. Both of those experiences were like, yeah, this is exactly like being regular crazy, except it's being caused intentionally with a chemical as opposed to happening randomly because something inside my brain changed. Because that's what drugs do. They just trigger endogenous changes in the brain. You're not going to get anything out of drugs that can't happen to you normally under duress, under various conditions. So for me, I mean, I learned a lot. I learned that just being nuts my whole life and having whatever it is that I have that makes my brain different is very comparable to what people experience when they're on drugs. So in that sense, it was interesting. gave me a sort of fellowship, and a way to explain to people, like a way to relate to people. Just be like, yeah, when I'm really stressed out and I get psychotic symptoms, it's like, mushrooms or whatever. But yeah, mostly I just found psychedelics extremely annoying.
Uh, Myself, in terms of that, I'm mainly interested in maybe some of the neuron groove rewiring stuff. I've read about stuff, particularly as it relates to CPTSD and PTSD. And
Yeah.
just
there's-
generally. Oh, sorry.
We have a old friend who actually works for the organization MAPS. Well, I don't know if you remember Bryce as much as I do.
Oh, yes, I actually do.
They
The
they
org,
are very
the org they're with
central to the
got mentioned.
communications department. Yeah, by Joe Rogan, which is
They were mentioned by Joe Rogan,
kind of
correct?
inevitable because Joe
Right?
Rogan does a lot of psychedelics. Of course,
Very
he's going to
true.
like that. Of course, he's going to like the people working with psychedelics to legalize them and work them for mental health usage.
Mhm.
But yeah, there was a clip of Joe Rogan saying "shout outs to Bryce," which is really funny when you think.
Oh wow, yeah, exactly.
Because Bryce works for the comms of there. So all this
Mhm.
to say, that stuff is pretty interesting to look at because I have really only like slightly personal experience with it, which is to say that after doing a large amount of acid, it was much easier for me to conceptualize myself as an individual who was depressed and who needed to work on some stuff, which is really only my personal experience and has a lot to do with, the way in which I was sad and all that other stuff. But
Mhm. Yeah,
as someone who's undergone a relatively eye-opening like type of experience on those types of drugs, like yeah, I can definitely get behind the advocacy for that.
yeah. To
that's
make
what
a
you're
long
saying.
Mhm. To make a long story short, my experience was sort of guided, and a problem sometimes with just the way my mind conceptualizes imagery. There are breaks within it. The imagery isn't consistent. One of the things that happens when you take acid is sort of there's this wall you hit after a certain point, or a crest as it's referred to, where basically you have several hours to yourself where your mind is just going to be going overtime, and that means sleep is next to nearly impossible for a while. I mean, you
It's very
can,
hard to
but
sleep on acid.
insanely hard
You ever want to
to.
stay up for like multiple days straight? Acid is a friend.
Closing your eyes and not being able to control what you see, in some ways was a sort of zen-like experience for me, and for
See,
some reason
it's amazing to me that that's not normal, because to me that's just been my entire life, all the time, always.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
finding out that that was not like something that everybody goes through constantly was interesting. It definitely put my life experiences into perspective quite a bit.
I
it
feel that way
colors
about a
it
couple internal
colors
things. Yeah.
it colors a lot of my consumption of media, and then also specific types of discrete music I'd listen to. It sure makes shoegaze music make a lot more fucking sense, that's for sure. uh and generally all of the funk I'd consumed throughout the years, and just how that would inform the creation of that music, and then
Yeah. You ever
iteration with that
take
when your
mushrooms and
mind's
listen
on
to Maggot Brain?
overdrive.
Take
Yeah.
mushrooms and listen to Maggot Brain.
Yeah, that's it. It was like it was a largely positive experience. I don't know if I air quotes advocate for mass use of this. I feel like with any drug, it depends entirely on the body it's interacting with.
It's a chemical that was created in a lab as part of an experiment to try and get people to fucking do stuff. Like it is not like
Yes.
acid is a very interesting drug. It is not like
Yeah, no,
mushrooms.
the
It didn't just grow on
conspiratorial.
it doesn't just grow on a tree.
My final thought was like conspiratorial part of me taking this drug was also, man, if you kept me not alone with my thoughts and kept applying pressure to me, and you took advantage of how anxious or whatever I feel like my mind also would be very pliable at that point, which was terrifying. I kind of think of a lot of drugs as maybe not directly linked, but almost sort of a pathway to seeing what a sort of collective unconscious seems like, and that you're in commune with people that have shared this experience before and are able to like name the shapes and contours within the experience. Like beyond that, yeah, the government usage and implications of that is fucking terrifying. That said,
here's the thing about acid.
I'm different.
It's not going to make you do anything that the government made people do on its own. It's just not.
So on today's episode, DIY interventions, how to save your loved ones.
No, Michelle, what I'm saying is that the important part that you're talking about is someone being restrained and someone being pressured and someone being put into a bad situation while being on a drug. That's not just taking a drug.
Oh yeah, no.
That's a very different set of circumstances.
I would not make a one-to-one distinction there. Like, no. Actually, they're the same thing. No, what you're saying makes sense.
If you combine a drug with a torture scenario, then it is a very different set of circumstances than just
fair enough
taking a drug. Your brain will process those things differently.
That mind, I kind of want to think back to previous conversations we've had on the pod regarding our current episode. I was sort of thinking about the juice, specifically that sort of phenomena and people uniting around a sort of shared
You're talking about
psychosis and desire.
I was about to say, tying it in and speaking of shared collective experiences around drugs. The juice is a perfect example of that.
Yeah, and one of the boards from which it's derived. My personal experience to the subject matter of tonight's episode is a YouTube video that I think has since been stricken down. I don't often do solicitations of any kind on this podcast, but if you're a goon that happens to listen to this episode and you happen to have archival footage of this video about the rope swing death compilation featuring Harry Nilsson's Everybody's Talking at Me, also from the film Midnight Cowboy, that features someone on a rope swing flying off a cliff and then, damn, was that an MF nuclear explosion? Please contact us at our email provided in the links. I absolutely need to see this video again. We're talking about something awful tonight. In particular, the rope swing of death. Am I saying it correctly?
No.
So,
all right.
yeah.
Why do you think it's a swing?
It's not a rope swing.
Zipline.
Those are very
It's not
different
a
things.
zip line.
Yeah, a zip
I'm
line
sorry.
is a very
A
specific
rope swing
thing.
is dangerous. Don't get me wrong, but
Okay.
this is a very different class of danger.
Oh, all right.
So this is about the child annihilating zipline.
There it is.
Is the formal term for this Goon scenario, and it must be noted, this was actually constructed. No children were run through it, obviously, that we know of, correct. However, yeah, the construction of it is actually quite nice. Like, that's what's interesting, is this guy fully had a team of people making it before he even posted.
Looks good.
Yeah, it's like it truly is a bunch of carpenters and 0 engineers. And so
Aesthetically pleasing. It's a very good structure.
Ruben,
Yes.
Jake, does the structure of this remind you of anything from a video game in particular?
yes, correct. Yes, we get it. It's like Fortnite.
I'm sorry.
What is
I made him say it. I
Okay,
didn't
it
this time.
Fucking
absolutely like
gamers.
Fortnite, you fucking gamer.
you dumb
Wooden-
motherfucker?
Wooden
I'll fucking
stairs.
kill you.
Wooden stairs in front of some woods equals
looks like a dock.
Fortnite equals Fortnite.
Oh my
Uh,
God, he say it.
If you don't have the time to pull it up, it looks like, I'm gonna guesstimate the height of the structure at 18 feet, probably.
Oh, we'll get into that.
It's
Trust
got a
us.
tasteful redwood look to
We
it.
will.
Yeah.
We will get.
Yeah,
into
I
that.
believe they used redwood on this, and there's like a couple. I couldn't identify those non-red logs though. Couldn't be maple. Couldn't be.
It looks like a pine. Real shit looks like a pine.
It's like a pine looks a little dark
two-
for a pine. This is like
you-
just some old pine
You need
logs.
to stop.
You're talking about the 4 pillars at the front. That kind of looks piney. That's one person's opinion.
All right.
So
That's
the
a good
child
point.
annihilating zipline is yet another something awful thing that we wanted to highlight. You might have seen it on Twitter or in a YouTube video in the past, but we're doing an episode out of it because it's fun to talk about. And these things come and go, but we love to remember them.
The ultimate DIY project.
Yeah, and exactly.
Absolutely.
It's like, this is absolutely in the tradition of Juice and Grover House.
It is
and
the second
dudes doing
most
things.
famous Goon project. If someone knows about Goon projects, they're gonna say Grover House.
Yeah.
And the second is Zipline.
And honestly, this is, I mean, oh, never, wait, when was this posted? Yeah, this is 2010. So this is now a 10-year-old event.
I was gonna say, as far as like Goon projects go, like I think Doobie's Doghouse would come to mind before Zipline, honestly.
Ooh.
Doobie's Doghouse has a lot of cachet within the Something Awful community, but is not well known outside of it.
Yeah, I'll
I've
say
never
heard
that
of
as the normie, I'm not familiar. I'm not as familiar. Yeah.
I
My
have
husband
a
read the thread to me. Like we were just like in bed, and he's like, "You want to hear about Doobie's Doghouse?"
Yeah.
Hilarious.
That's romantic.
okay. I mean, what is it, like a very strangely built doghouse, or what's the conceit of this
It was
one?
a terrible restaurant. That should probably be for another episode, though.
Okay,
Fair
so,
enough.
yeah, just the elevator pitches. It was a really bad restaurant, I guess.
Okay.
But no, this is about a thread that is really only 5 pages long, and honestly is not accurate to what we are going to be talking about because the owner of the thread deleted all of his comments. So a lot of what we have to say is from the quotes of the thread or from screen captures of before the
Or
time.
From the Fiad
Yes,
thread,
copying and pasting.
which luckily backed up a lot of the images and posts before they were panic deleted. And
Yeah.
I do want to say that looking at the original thread here, the OP is named Dexter Stratton, which I think is a Lost reference. And the opening thread, which originally, had the picture of the zip line, and the title was "Tell Me How to Fix This Zip Line," because they had already built it. And he posted it hoping that for the low price of an archives upgrade, that one of the goons who posted in Ask Tell subforum could tell him how to fix this zip line that had already been built. But the OP has been completely wiped and replaced with one line by Dexter Stratton, who has edited the post to say, "This is a thread about zip lines, but someone did something really ugly. Sorry, we're closed." And he stopped posting after this, so I don't know what it was, but just based on what goons have done in the past, something really ugly could mean that somebody actually doxed him and called code enforcement, whatever governing body is responsible for summer camps and child safety, and may have reported this guy. But we don't know. So there was absolutely no follow-up to this that I am aware of. It's possible. If you're listening to this and you're a goon and you know what happened, please call in. Please tell us, because I would love to know. But in all of my years talking about and posting about the zip line with other goons, I've never gotten any follow-up information on this at all. I don't think anyone has found it on Google Maps or anything like that. So it's a pretty closed book at this point. But yeah, so I don't know what happened.
It's very strange in that the physics are talked out a lot. I'm gonna kind of look through the Dan Olson thread that Jake had kind of linked us, and sort of after the initial design part, Olson goes on to say they had a lot of construction expertise on the team. The whole 30,000.
So yeah, I think we have to set this up for the Michelle. Let me set this up for the viewer.
Fair enough.
Or for the listener, not the viewer. Well,
either or, baby.
After the initial thread post that Eliza read out, the thread about Zipline, someone did something really ugly. Sorry, we're closed. The original response is still preserved, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this the next guy, just to give you guys a picture. So this guy's built a zipline, and if you don't know how big it is, the next response to the post is, "Are you serious? A 143-foot vertical drop from platform to platform?"
Oh my god!
So that's how big the zipline was. To be clear. And he says, I guess make whatever you have hanging off the zip line have a speed governor somehow, like apparently friction material on some pulleys. Instead of creating ways to slow the person down, just make it so they don't go fast to begin with. Also get a lot of insurance. And then the follow-up post is never minded. So Dexter Stratton has never minded all of his posts in this thread, except if you go look at all of his posts, you can find one that he did not never mind. And I'm going to read it without even having pre-read it right now. So he's responding to someone, and the response is, isn't there a risk of the kid getting stuck in the valley? Because it's literally, they dug out a giant trench on this big hill they have. Truly like a giant Fortnite-esque wooden plank platform, and it's zipped all the way down.
Yeah, they clear cut a gulch.
Yeah.
A gulch in the middle of a heavily wooded forest between these 2 towers.
It's nutso. And this guy named Whipmet's post, isn't there a risk of the kid getting stuck in the valley, either by not managing to hold himself upon arrival at the end point and falling back, or by not getting out of the valley in the first place? I mean, sure, that scenario is already far better than having 65 mph to spare upon arrival, but it should be considered. So this is the only, and then this response is the only Dexter Stratton post that's still up. He says, that is a problem, but not much of one. Like you say, it's better a 70-pound fourth grader get stuck than a 200-pound high schooler get walloped by a telephone pole. As part of their harness gear, they have a rope bag that they could lower if they get stuck, and a staffer could pull them into the platform. Right now, though, there's no belly in the cable, just sheer life-taking, barely controlled free fall, which would be totally awesome if the bungee system worked at all, but it doesn't. And then he posts, it does indeed suck. Management, you know?
Oh, man.
Lucy. I want to point out that they spent, he says, Dexter Stratton says that this project had a budget of $30,000.
Yeah.
30,000 American fiat dollars. But
in 2010, no less.
He also says in a separate post, because many people posted saying, didn't you have an engineer? Get a fucking engineer.
No,
Well, he replied to this and said, we were told that an engineer was not in the budget. And he blames management for this. Management is just like, no engineer. Here's $30,000.
What the fuck?
Kill someone.
What fucking summer camp?
A summer camp that did not want to exist much longer. This is obviously a form of Ponzi scheme to make him the fall guy. You don't need an engineer, dude. $1,000.
It's like a lumber laundering operation or something. Yeah.
We did have a hand from Lucy.
Yeah. What did you want to say, Lucy?
So I had something funny, but then it turns out I misread it. But there was a Tumblr post that we were looking at that also had more pictures of this. And my immediate thought was this would be really funny if someone made this into like a Gmod map.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And then like in that same thread, there's like someone made a Doom wad of it. And I'm like, oh cool. Ooh. But it was actually for the weird fucked up bathroom. That's another something awful thread, not the zip line.
That's in the same post, but it is not. Yeah, it's not for that. But that's a really good idea. I think there's like what is another good physics game? Oh, I was just gonna say.
Well, what about Fortnite? Like you say this looks like Fortnite so much, it has zip lines in it. Michelle, I dare you to go into creative and build this.
Fortnite doesn't have the physics that will kill you on impact,
to me,
unfortunately.
It looks like Arma or Tarkov. I would love to be walking through the woods in Arma 3.
It's true. It's a very Tarkov. There's also a very Tarkov landscape, I can attest.
Find this fucking zip line.
And handcuff someone to the zip line.
A pile of little skeletons at the end.
At the bottom.
That's environmental storytelling.
All shattered ribs and Elvis hits at the bottom.
Literally, you can't find a single assembled skeleton. It's just all scattered bones.
And a giant fan. That is one of the funniest preserved replies. Is
that's the way that you get them to stop.
Big fan.
Yeah, there's a quoted reply here by Rent-A-Cop, and the only quote that remains, it's like archaeology here, that the only shred of the quote that's being quoted is Dexter Stratton saying 2 problems with this, and the rest is cut off. But Rent-A-Cop, another Goon poster, says, there's one problem with this. It wouldn't ever work. There's no way you could practically build a fan blade large enough to make any difference.
It would just kill them. It would just kill them faster.
The way that 2 problems with this is quoted, it feels like a drill tweet.
Yes. I love the forensic aspect of this, that we could reconstruct that Dexter Stratton seriously considered putting a giant fan at the end of the zip line to create in the middle of the woods. I might add, literally, it looks like Mount St. Helens or something. I bet it's around here somewhere. I bet it's in the Pacific Northwest. Yeah, giant fan. Seriously,
like, just to paint the picture of like how this guy came into it, which is like so funny, is like he goes like this is like a reply to something that I'm not sure, but he goes, yeah, that's sort of the problem. Works out to be an almost 19-degree slope. Most zip lines don't go over 10 degrees. But really, I'm just hoping someone in this 100,000 pool of generally smart people might have dealt with an issue like this before and can throw me an answer. Like,
I don't know how they had the budget to like build this thing in the first place, but there was no budget for the engineer at all, like in all of that. Because it looks like they put like a ton of fucking effort into this.
Oh yeah, I think no. Well, that's what's so funny is like there most assuredly was money in the budget, but
the build's immaculate.
So hard, yeah. They're so
it's a really great structure.
They're so hard for carpentry that they literally spent it all on building this insane thing.
Yeah,
and presumably clearing out the land and stuff too.
It's a floating like a harbor. It's a floating dock out there with some fucking stairs that are like tastefully. Has a tasteful landing, so you don't accidentally trip and fall down the stairs and die. We need you to die at the top.
I mean, my theory is it is absolutely gamer logic in that like the first thing we think of as citable stuff beyond just Fortnite is then next Gmod or something. This seems like that sort of libertarian mindset. Like
I feel like you could make this in Rust, which is essentially a better souped up Gmod.
I don't know how the fuck they did the math on the slope there, because I'm looking at shit that's like zipline should be a 3% slope. Every picture I see, that thing is like a 15-degree angle, regardless of distance. This thing is a 45-degree drop, and they because they built it down fucking hill.
They should have gotten the Jackass guys to ride this.
Ooh. They should have killed half of the Jackass crew.
I was about to say, yeah, no, there's like
Dry Knoxville, and this is the end of Jackass.
This is unfortunately another Jackass member lost to a ledge.
So the Dan Olsen tweets,
yikes.
The Dan Olsen tweets have a little bit about how they decided to make it, and how they didn't apparently. It's so fast, it's so insane that they didn't do this before posting on a fucking internet forum. But there's like one preserved post where it was still when he was actively trying to work on it with the posters when OP was, and he says we had a very productive couple of days Thursday and Friday. We sat down and did some math, and he posts a formula. He said and like solves for it. The solve is 65 miles an hour is like how they figure out how fast they're going. So they said we decided to make that 15 miles an hour instead. So we plugged that in, and we found out we should have made it 7.5 feet. So we overshot by 19 times.
There's a really good Fiad. There's a great Fiad reply to this. Mobutu
7.5 times 19.
Picture being on a motorcycle on the freeway, only it's not a motorcycle. It's a strap and handle. Also, you're not you. You're 8. Also, we have bottled water and orange wedges.
Between each ledge, between each entry point, from the top of the zip line to the bottom of the zip line was 143 feet elevation difference.
Oh,
which is nuts.
I'm immediately
I had a zip line I had a play zip line in my backyard as a kid that you could tie around 2 trees. You did not need that much elevation for that shit to go.
So for comparison, Rebecca Harding, which is it's Super Car on Twitter, they made a diagram comparing the elevation of the launch tower to the Washington Monument.
Oh yeah, yeah.
The Washington Monument is 169 feet tall. The total height, the total elevation of the launch tower plus the hill that it was built on,
walking up the whole hill
of a very large hill, was 183 feet. So they were proposing to send 5th graders off of a structure that was taller than the Washington Monument.
It'd be like having a zip line from the Washington Monument straight into the White House. It just fucking kills you.
The imagery.
I had a really funny post on this. Poster, aka pseudonym, posted, just have the bad kids write it.
Just have the bad kids write it, yes.
Oh no.
It's like that. It's literally that what's the theoretical roller coaster someone made that just kills everyone with a bunch of loops? It's like a
Oh yeah, the
euthanasia
euthanasia
coaster.
roller coaster. I love
It's
that.
it's that concept, but for camp children, for
Oh.
bad children in a summer camp. You have to
Oh,
go ride the
no.
zip line now.
I mean, I'm immediately thinking of any type of death dream where you're like flying. And I don't know if you've ever been on any sort of like camp thing involving height whatsoever. It seems like the most amplified version of that. You're just looking down like, oof, awful. I'm just imagining it like the kid almost sort of having a Superman like movement where their legs are in the air as they're flying forward because of the goddamn G's they're pushing at that height. No, thank you.
How much does it cost to hire a structural engineer as a consultant?
It has to be
Yeah.
something that like a pretty chunky hourly, but not that bad. Like
Well, here's the thing,
certainly
like-
within a $30,000 budget.
I have known so many like old retired guys that are engineers that just do stuff on the side. All you have to do is find some old retired guy in what looks like Washington to do this for you.
Mm.
Right.
Oh yeah, he gives you like a really good estimate. No, bigger than the Washington Monument. No, why contain it? It's cool.
Oh, here's another funny one. I'm 9, but by the time I was I'm 9, but I was 6 by the time I arrived at the end of the zip line in 2099.
No. 96 feet per second without friction. So they had so many different ideas. They had the counterweight, they had the bungee cords, they had the fucking fan that we talked about. Don't kid yourself into thinking somebody here is going to be able to figure this out for an account upgrade if anyone could find a usable solution at all. P.S. The construction looks pretty though.
It does. I mean,
It's good. It's not bad.
Said it, but it is it's a nice tower.
Why didn't they just build another tower that was closer?
If someone just goes into post law, someone is going to die. Yeah, I think that probably would have been the more reliable solution. And I think that would have cost $30,000 more considering whatever the fuck they put into it.
Our averaging that it would be 100 to 150 an hour for a structural engineer, which sounds high, but I would assume if this is the result of not having one, that may be the right price.
And it's probably not that many hours for them to do an assessment on that type of a job. They would just go, don't make it that fucking big.
Yeah, I don't think it would take more than three
Charge
days.
one book hour.
Yeah, probably 3 hours with driving.
I mean, I had a question for you all in the vein of this. I don't know, have any of you ever like lived in small towns outside of like, maybe necessarily big cities? And if it's suburbs,
no.
that's not the end of the world.
I have not.
I once had a place that only had 200 people.
Yeah, not small.
I've been there too. I was thinking about a high school I used to go to, and they had this weird ass backwards program that they like the town itself threw a lot of money into, but then it used lowest bidder parts and stuff. And you could see from the name of the company on the side that they actually spent a lot less on the equipment itself. It was like this really ass backwards skate park they retrofitted into the asphalt tennis court, or not asphalt. It was like a sort of flat layout. And yeah, they repurposed the tennis court that obviously no one was using. And it basically repurposed 2 bits that are not used for a half pipe into an ad hoc half pipe. And it was absolutely trash. You could never fully get going in either direction. Like the speed would top off at the top. It was not a bolt. It was like purposeful misengineering. Like in any of your towns, if you just seen shit that is just engineered completely ass backwards, like, I mean, you guys are in Seattle. Do you see anything like that?
Well, I mean, yes, rural Washington is wild. And you don't even have to go super rural to see some crazy shit. For example, I grew up in Bellingham. Bellingham is in Whatcom County. Whatcom is the local indigenous word for noisy water, actually. So the county is named after the number of waterfalls that there are in the area. It's absolutely fucking beautiful. Bellingham used to be probably one of the best places in the entire world in the 80s and 90s, and now it kind of sucks because it's been gentrified. But growing up there was awesome because you could just go out in the woods and wander around and find places that looked like enchanted fantasy movie sets. It was just unbelievable. So one of the local parks, Whatcom Park, had a very tall waterfall with beautiful smoothed out stones and cliffs and stuff like that. And every summer there would just be a party there for the entirety of, you know, June, July, and August, and people would hurl themselves off of the top of the waterfall into the pool below. And no one ever died doing it, surprisingly. So yeah, we used to rig up all sorts of crazy shit, rope swings. I have almost died many times, like free climbing on the sandstone cliffs that are down at the bay and all that kind of thing. Which is the best way to grow up, really. So yeah, that stuff is out there. I think it's probably been cracked down on in this age of universally surveilling your children. Actually, one winter, it didn't snow very much in the Pacific Northwest the way that it snows on the East Coast. So when it does snow, everybody has a fucking party. Yeah. And one year, it was like 94, I think. One year there was a really, really big snow, and unusually for the Pacific Northwest, the snow actually stuck around. So usually we only get if we get a big snow and it sticks, it's only there for 48, 72 hours. So if you want to sled and build snowmen and stuff like that, you got to hustle. You got to go out there. And you get the opportunity because the entire city shuts down because we just don't have the infrastructure to deal with snow. When I went to Vermont for a winter, I was absolutely amazed at just how snow sort of existed and nobody noticed it, and it was just sort of a part of life. That is not the case in the Pacific Northwest. So 1994, big snow. We got like 4 or 5 feet in a couple days. It was amazing. Everybody had a great time. But all of the neighborhood dads in the place where I was living decided that they were really going to take advantage of it. And Bellingham has a lot of waterfalls, as I mentioned, and this comes with a lot of hills, which is, common in Seattle as well. So I lived on a neighborhood which was just sort of like a terraced series of streets with very steep hills between each of them. And we also had a lot of drainage ditches because, of course, it rains a lot. So what we did is we turned the drainage ditches, which were in these very steep hills, down 3 or 4 blocks into bobsled runs. We packed down the snow, iced it down really good. My dad put my bike helmet on me. And all the neighborhood kids got put on their sleds and thrown into these ice luges.
Yeah.
Hell
and
yes.
not only was it an ice luge, but every time that the drainage ditch was going to cross a street, of course, it had to go through a pipe. The pipe wasn't big enough for a child, so we built ramps. So you would hit the ramp and get serious air. So you would be going 15 miles an hour down these ice luges, hit a ramp, an ice ramp, and if you were really good, the goal was to hit this ramp, get air, land, stay in your sled, and then get into the next ditch on the other side of the street. And there would be a dad standing at each intersection, making sure there weren't any cars coming. It was amazing. It was absolutely amazing.
Community effort.
The whole community came together to endanger their children as one.
We can't kill all these kids at once. We can try.
But yeah, that's right. That's right. So I'm in favor of endangering children in the name of fun.
Yeah.
However, I really don't see any. I don't see any neighborhood dad engineering going on with the Zipline. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Hard fuck up. This is a hard miss. Dads could do a much better job at like almost killing kids. But they would have at least been alive. This thing throwing kids into a wood pole at 65 miles per hour.
Yeah, my dad was like, "Oh, you got a helmet? You're fine. Get on the horse,
Good.
get on the sled, get on the boat, whatever." He was right.
I mean, for me, I can think of two distinct things growing up in Michigan, which was encouraged to basically because I was hyper poor at one time, and we lived in a trailer, and it was opposite two ditches. So tornado comes, if you can't immediately drive to someone's house with a basement, you're going in that fucking ditch. So as a kid, a lot of ditches. Anyway, during winter, those were sweet because we could like have a rain much earlier, and then that would freeze over and you could sort of ice skate on it. But also, if you didn't want to do that, we had a bunch of sandcastle shit. And so we'd basically take the sandcastle stuff and repurpose it into like snow castles, and we'd use it as like little bases for our action figures and army men. It was fucking sick, dude. It's my favorite thing to do.
Seems like a good time. I have some
Jake, are you muted?
I am. I gotta start remembering that because I'm staring at my other monitor. But it's for the
No worries, homie.
Yeah, snow castles are very cool.
Snow castles are sick with it, my guy.
General snow day advice. I'm sure people that live in actual like snow climate areas already own these items. But if you don't and like to have fun with snow, snow pants own. Definitely buy like a form of snowsuit. Just
overalls, yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
That shit's so good.
My parents got me some snowsuit. It made a big difference.
It's the biggest difference in the world. Like
Yeah.
your whole gooch ate full of snow and water in like 5 minutes. You're like 80% invincible to snow, and that is a huge difference compared to like wearing jeans in the snow and being half dead and frozen within 20 minutes.
Get wet and cold out there. You want to be able to stay out there for like 4 hours.
Yeah, you gotta be water resistant.
The only other thing I want to say that I can remember from Michigan was also a specific hill in Frankenmuth opposite a frozen over river. The hill is always intact, but sometimes if it is a warmer day, the ice on the river can just immediately crack. And if you are going very fast and you don't do the controlled wipeout everyone's supposed to do on that hill, you will fly into it completely, and like you're gonna have to have several people pull you out there. It's not the exact length of the zip line of death, but in terms of the contour of the hill, it goes pretty fucking fast. It's you typically do not want to use the traditional like wooden slats and then metal railing sled at all. You want to use like an inner tube or a dome shaped discus to slide in it. Otherwise, you are going to eat shit in a devious way. You have to pull very hard to the left. It's nuts.
The controlled wipeout is such an important child skill.
Yes,
absolutely.
Your parents need to be teaching you the jujitsu, drop and roll, jumping off stuff, how to jump out of a tree and roll without hurting yourself.
Yeah, I had a
It's very
couple.
important.
I had a couple dope crashes as a kid that I still remember to this day. One was like hands over, like definitely one that could have been way worse than it ended up being. Where I flipped like head over the handlebars off a bike going down a hill, and only ended up getting like scraped, probably because I was a pliable child and not like a adult. Like if I was an adult, I would have been fucking dead, I think.
Yeah,
we got some crunch there from Eliza.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm trying to lean back.
No, it's good. You can
take that shit to the head.
ASMR.
Hit that
ASMR.
lean.
Oh yeah, I was about to say, yeah, well, it's not frozen corn, folks. This is no frozen corn scenario.
No,
Okay, here's the
sorry.
other really dumb thing I was into doing as a kid, and I don't mean like I did it more than maybe twice, but it was something that I like had to get out of my brain. I took 2 different razor scooters and rode one on each foot down a hill.
Fuck yeah, that's tight as fuck.
And-
That's an
and
incredible idea.
The key is that because like they don't have easy, it's not easy. You have to claw grip the center of the bar of this because you have your hands in the
They'll
center.
T-spin on you if you
Yeah.
grab the edges.
You cannot hold one side or the other side. You have to like claw grip the center and keep it straight. And you also can't brake, so you have to make sure you're running into something that's going to slow you down. So I did it on a hill that I knew would go into a different, like, it was kind of at the bottom, right? I would run into the bottom, and then I would just slowly go back up the hill and then I'd hop off. But it was, I distinctly remember my friends being like, "You're fucking stupid," and I was like, "No, as long as I don't jump off, as long as I don't fucking stop, it's gonna be like, this is working in my head. I see this." And I did that, and I didn't do it a ton, but I totally remember like executing that as a fucking like 11-year-old or 12-year-old or whatever, and zooming down a hill on my road.
Did you make it?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's
like
incredible.
I didn't fuck up, and I think like I probably had to jump off once or twice a little early to like, because like you would slow down, but then like once you get the rhythm of it, you would zoom down the hill, and like I said, you couldn't try to stop. It's one of those things where if you hesitate or if you try to stop, that's how you fuck yourself up. You just have to keep riding the speed until you zip, and then when you get up the hill, you start slowing down, and once you start slowing down, you're like, cool, I can hop off now. And that was how you do it.
Those razor scooters are fucking deadly.
They were nuts, man. Like,
I hurt myself so bad on razor scooters.
Because they're just made of fucking aluminum, and they were heavy, and you could just like, you could literally
pretty sharp.
Someone, you could fuck a kid up with a razor.
You can really
scooter.
sharpen the sides of a scooter on just on some sidewalk. Just people want to do like stupid tricks or like exit a sidewalk, and just hit that like 6-inch drop off the side, and then the razor scooters would get pretty fucking sharp around the sides and would make shins bleed pretty easily. I
think I had more bike crashes than anything growing up, like the razor scooter thing.
I was going to ask, to continue the theme of sort of controlled wipeouts. The first about razor scooters, I think the first time I thought about homophobia in a significant way was a razor scooter video game. A razor scooter video game that basically featured the side mission, like say Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, like, you know, collect skate or go after a certain character in a level. So this one was called Bash the Flamer. For the official razor scooter video game.
Oh my god.
That's like a different time.
Yeah, I remember this being referred to at EGM a long time ago when they had those big old thick issues. It's just like, what's up?
Not even a rhyme. It's not even a rhyme, like Smear the Queer.
Yeah, no.
I mean, even for the time, that's pretty egregious.
Absolutely.
Oh, everyone would like to believe they're very enlightened now, but like, really try to think back about shit they said about gay people in 1998.
I know, but the thing is like, this isn't GTA. This is a game aimed at like children, right?
We were really using the term flaming.
It was so banal.
Flaming and flamer was very big back then. It was highly in vogue. I remember a ton of people saying like, that dude's flaming and shit like that. It was a very soft F slur.
Yeah. I mean, we could go on for years about the F slur. The thing I wanted to mention about controlled wipeouts was in terms of bicycle experience. We're gonna get into the nitty gritty here, the real shit. Like, what was everyone's bicycle thing? For me, I know how mine went. I went with training wheels on the back, but training wheels doing it on gravel. And then gradually one training wheel was taken away and the other was. And I got a really weird sense of balance for being able to balance a very not built for rough gravel sort of parking area behind the house. And then like, living on dirt roads and riding bikes, acclimated for that. And like Dad told me, if you're going to eat shit, try to take your bike off the road every time. And if you fall, roll into it. And so we had a day where we both just fucking did a sort of pre-jackass, let's practice fucking up moment. It was very reminiscent of the flying is like peeing your pants scene from Invincible, complete with my dad's big faggy Village People mustache. I love the man, but goddamn, dude. I'm sorry. What are we doing here, man? Who is this for? I love him. That the mustache does own. I don't know why my dad has a Tom of Finland mustache, but more power to him.
I do have a bicycle like crash related story that I don't really
Okay.
tell often because it's insane.
Mm.
My family was like out, and I was like riding my bike on like a trail somewhere, and I went downhill, and God, so I was like literally like 6 or something at the time, and I'm going downhill. I'm going pretty goddamn fast, and like I can't get like my fucking brakes to work for the life of me. And I literally bowled over an old woman and nearly killed her. She had to go to the hospital.
Oh no.
I was 6 and I almost committed vehicular manslaughter.
Oh no. Hey, you're no Joss Whedon. That's pretty wild though. Like that is definitely one of the fears I have when biking or in general going around is like just not even hurting myself, just slamming into something that I can't control.
Mm-hmm.
It actually took me a little longer to ride a bike than it should have. Later, I found out that that's pretty common for kids who have like, hypermobility or whatever, like the weird, in any of the floppy kids, it takes them longer to learn how to do that stuff. But yeah, I figured it out eventually. My dad, I think at some point I heard him say that he thought that training wheels were actually not a good idea, that they were going to kind of teach you how to rely on the training wheels, and it was probably better to just give the kid the bike without the training wheels and let them put their feet on the ground instead, and figure it out. Now I think that that's probably true, because I did have training wheels, and it was like, I think it kind of held me back.
I think training wheels are more of something that someone invented to like sell than like a genuine teaching tool. Now that I think about it, because I think what your dad said was kind of correct about bike riding.
I training wheels up, and then we just decided to leave them on, and then they just stopped working on their own eventually by merit of getting off my bike.
Cheaper.
I gotta lean a little bit, and then they just get bent, and one day they just stop touching the ground.
You just Forrest Gump them?
Yeah, you just kind of tweak them up a little bit over time. I think that's a pretty good method because it's very passive. I remember that. I do also have another memory that I couldn't get anyone to confirm, and I don't like that. But I fell off my bike in the street once, and it was like first 5 times using the bike. So like turning, we're barely even at turning at this point. And I just remember falling in the middle of the street, and then I saw the bone in my elbow when I was like, oh, I fell on my elbow.
No.
And then the world went black, and I don't remember a recovery phase, but my elbow looks a little weird.
So if no one else
of your elbow.
I swear my cousin was there, and I asked him, and they couldn't remember. And I was like, but no one fucking remembers anything 25 years ago. I should try to ask
Are you
sooner.
sure you didn't like have a dream and like misremember his memory? Because that happens to me a lot.
No,
That's happened to me occasionally.
I don't remember a lot of dreams that don't.
What's up?
The worst is when you think you have like $20 in your pocket, and you're like, that was a fucking dream.
That's a sad ass dream to have. Yeah,
holy shit, dude!
I would fucking cry if I was like, "The sweet 20, I'm going to Burger King."
You look at your hoodie and you're like, "Oh yeah, there's a 20." You're like, "No, there's not a 20 in there. I dreamed that last night. That was the fucking dumbest dream on the planet." Is that just me? Is that only me?
I think that's I dreamt about having a 20 in my jacket pocket.
Yeah.
No, okay, so the 20 in the jacket is purely made up. Like, I did have that dream in high school, I want to say. Basically around the time the PSP came out, I definitely remember dreaming that I got one, and like then I woke up and did not have one. And I was very bummed. But these are types of dreams.
Fair play. With regard to I guess Goon projects as a general sort of project, well, I sort of think about this in this specific context is like what really appeals to people, because it seems like if you look enough into small town America, like it seems like we're a constellation of really fucked up social, or what should I say, like sort of public engineering projects, or civil engineering is a better way to say it.
in general, it's just funny when people are very confident about something that is so drastically fucked up and dumb.
And
You know what I
they've
mean?
already sunk $30,000 into
Yeah,
it,
like
and are just hoping you can really help them out on this one. Just
it
like,
would be
please.
one thing. It would not be a real. I don't think we would be talking about this if the guy had just submitted a drawing and been like, "We were thinking of doing this," and someone
Right.
was like, "Don't do that." It's the fact that he literally went and built it with all of his buds
Which must have
before
taken months.
considering any of this. Yeah, which clearly, like, that's a planning and buying and building. It's a lot of time to not
I
think
can't-
about how high should this thing be off the ground.
The self-confidence
Yeah, it's incredible.
is what gets me, and I think that that's a continuous aspect of the Goon project
For sure.
genre, is this unshakable belief that some nerd from a forum can do anything.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know, I'll renovate my house, it'll be great. I'll build a zipline, it'll be great. I'll move to an island and start a commune, a libertarian commune, and
Oof.
raise my own food. It'll be great. And there's no questioning of the self whatsoever. And that's fascinating because I've never experienced that in my life.
Yeah,
I've
that's
never
always
started any sort of project without doing unbelievable amounts of research and just assuming that I don't know what I'm doing. That is my assumption about everything all the time.
yeah.
So
I mean, that's like basic good faith in general. Like, yeah, no, conceding that, you know what, I don't have all the answers. That's the amazing thing about like Goon projects as a unifying pathology is like there's just the front facing thing of this guy, like, no, I was wrong, never mind, blah, blah, blah. But it's like not actually conceding a point. It's mainly like sort of
Yeah, he's never at no point. This is like that's funny you bring this up because the one other archived post that we have from him is him going, "I'll post pictures of the new and improved plan so you armchair lawyers can tell me how stupid I am." Like, he's absolutely still incredulous about this, even after having to redo his plan.
it's
And he also literally, it's so funny, there's the 180 from, "Hey, everyone tell me what to do," to being like, "You armchair lawyers." Like, they're telling you what to do, man.
yeah, that conceit that you actually, you know what, like, you talk a big one, but I'm actually going to commit to this. It's like, if there's one thing these guys are absolutely about that I think is endearing to people by and large, it's like sort of a farcical sense of might makes right. Like, if I actually commit and something tangible is made, it's like still completion. Wave your finger or laugh at me, but I did it, I committed. I mean, that is sort of the endearing part, but also, you know, what's genius, what's delusion, and physics are where this shit just slaps straight into reality. Oh, you're muted.
Oh, no, nothing. I was trying to think if I made anything fucked up. All I could think of is just, I just keep remembering the number of times I built a fun snowman over a fire hydrant on a snow day.
That's like,
You gotta.
that's a little spooky.
It's out of the side. It's out of left field here, but it's very. It's a very particular thing because you have to start by building a snowman, and then some dickheads from your high school have to come and then kick it down, and you do that 3 more times, and then they kick it down because they're like, "Haha, snow day," and then your 5th snowman is with a fucking fire hydrant under it, and when a kid goes for a drop kick
Breaks his
and
fucking
just
toe.
stops in the middle of
Fuck yeah.
air and then falls straight down.
Oh
my
my
God.
God, dude.
absolutely, that's
thing-
genius.
Me and
That
my
is pretty
friend
get wrecked.
me and my friend we were watching it. We were watching it go down at a distance. And we're like, we fucking got him. We left that snowman up there. We waited. We were circling the block, like waiting for them to come by and see it. And for a second, one kid almost tackled it. He was gonna go head first.
Oh my God.
I was fucking drooling. I was licking my lips. I was
Oh,
like,
no.
yes.
This
The
is
alternate
Macaulay.
universe. There's the alternate universe where you're in fucking prison for manslaughter.
This is the alternate universe where you are doing Macaulay Culkin in The Good Son.
is
Holy
incredible.
shit!
That was a good one.
Oh,
I think
also
it's
did-
very. It's. I was trying to figure out like because the thing about this is that the thread is kind of bare bones, and that a lot of the stuff got wiped away, and it's very funny because you can imagine it's mostly just all the posts that got deleted are him defending himself. It's not that crazy, but yeah, the very last two posts are from this guy named Schnozberry. Oh, actually, the one above it is from a guy named Hobo Tickler. I feel like all of these, I don't know, these just feel like exquisite forum names to me. Guy says, I'm an engineer too. You should be designing it so that in the events of a system failure, a person requires something to go out and retrieve them from the middle. So that way the kid would just end up in the middle and not die. I think it's awesome though, and you should definitely install something to slow them down so that in the rare case it fails and a group of parents are waiting at the other end to catch their children, they get to witness one child splatter across a tree trunk and shower them all in blood and child giblets. And then Schnozberry just quotes it and goes, actually that would look really fucking cool. And the last post is just, OP, is there any way you can make a video test of the weight smashing into the pole at the bottom? I'm trying to get an idea of what it would look like with a human child. That's literally the last thing that gets posted before he deletes the whole thread.
oh my god!
Honestly,
Deletes all
they
his
could have.
posts.
They could have.
Can you just post a video of like a bag of sand? I just want to see what would happen.
We have a real.
No, I'm
good-
thinking of the ballistic gel from like Deadliest Warrior.
with the bones in it, the bones and the fucking blood bag.
Send one of those dummies down. Send one of those ballistic gel men.
Send three
men down.
ballistic children, 3 ballistic childs, and a ballistic
Jesus
baby
Christ.
with the fucking bones.
This
They
honestly,
they still keep like the martial artist guy. He just pushes
They-
them down the slide.
this is a free idea, and I'm not
Slow-mo.
even kidding you. Like YouTubers, you know what? This is just a free one. Do Mythbusters for this shit.
Yeah.
Do Mythbusters for this shit.
Mythbusters
We,
Zipline.
Go
we
make this shit.
recreated the zip
Go
line of
make
death.
this somewhere.
Or maybe it's still there.
Don't
Listen,
put
if they
children on
spent,
it.
if
To
they
be
spent
clear,
$30,000 building that launch tower,
I'm willing to
there's
bet
no
the
way
towers.
they had money to deconstruct it after that much of a fuck up.
I was
they-
thinking the same thing.
There's no way they left the
think it's still
zip
there.
line up. I bet the platforms are absolutely
Ooh.
still there, but there's no way
Yeah.
there's a zip line up there.
As
There's probably
like I
just
said,
two
is
fucking platforms.
unless
Now-
some goon listening to this can give us the hot info. I never, in all of my inquiries about this, I was never able to find any information about what happened after this, which is disappointing. It's the lost, it's the holy grail of the goon projects is like what happened to this thing, because
Right.
Grover House has been thoroughly deconstructed. It's been flight simulated. It's been Google Maps. Someone went there recently, which was bad. Don't do that. But,
Yeah.
yeah, Zipline is still a mystery as far as I know. I mean, they clear cut that area. It would be grown back by now, but it's like maybe we could check satellite imagery from.
Well, you have to figure out where in Washington State he was. Yeah.
I don't know if it was Washington State, but it does look like Washington State.
So yeah, someone says that he said it was. So that's like kind of secondhand.
Mm,
That's a
okay.
post. But they were like, can
Okay.
anyone find where this is? OP said it was in Washington State before he deleted everything.
Write in if you would
Um,
like us to do the search for the zip line of
probation.
death,
No.
aka the rip
I just
line,
thought of a-
the machine that kills children.
I mean, we could certainly ask around. Like,
Oh
there's
my
probably
God.
someone around who knows what are the summer camps around here, kind of thing. So,
His last, I was just looking up his account, and his last banning was in 2013. So it's not like he immediately stopped posting. I guess. I guess he went away for a while, but the last probation he got, which I don't really know what that means in essay terms, to be clear.
Oh, it's like when you get posting timeout.
Okay, yeah, that's what I figured.
Okay.
It's like getting soft banned or timed out banned. The mod says your learning outcome can be, in the grand scheme of things, being molested is not something you can put behind you after 20 years. So he's clearly great at arguing online in the first place.
Yeah, yeah.
what was the post? What's his rap sheet say?
So that's what I'm looking at. It's I don't know how to get to the actual post. Oh, is it from the probation? Do I click probation?
Yeah, whenever you're on the probation, like it'll let you click a link to the offending post.
Wowie, zowie.
Oh my god,
while you look at
he
that,
says he kicked a guy out of his program because he found out he was like a former offender or something like that.
What, like he was on the offender registry? That's like a not uncommon response to stuff if a state has a public sex offender registry.
Nah,
yeah, I'm not
this is
understanding
different.
why he got probated for that.
I mean, basically, maybe it's like a disclosure thing. I don't know
This
the
looks like
internal
people-
politics
yeah.
of the board.
I mean, this is a completely different issue.
Yeah.
And it's
I have
basically just him talking
proposal.
about terrible things. Yeah, what's up?
What's up?
So there's two facing platforms, right?
Correct.
And it's like clear cut all the way through, right?
Yeah, it's really just a slope, a giant slope.
You could make a really shitty paintball version of like Facing Worlds from Unreal Tournament.
All right.
Hell yeah.
Tell me
Hell
more.
yeah.
Tell me more.
So are you familiar with Unreal Tournament, Michelle?
Yeah.
Yes. I'm
you
aware
know
of
the
that
map.
map. Oh yeah.
Okay.
And the variations thereof.
Like it'd be terrible because like it's not even or anything. But
You'd have a team that had to go uphill versus a team that could just sit up top.
They would
and
obviously
shoot
have to
down.
like put some dirt in because they really dug the fucking ground out on that goddamn.
no, just keep it shitty. They spent the $30,000 already.
In terms of outcomes, it's not that far removed from a Black Ops map. Specifically the Zipline part.
I was gonna say earlier with our
Right.
let's watch a bag explode on it. That the real fix was to just put a sign up that says, or just take away the zipline equipment, and you just have a system to throw just fruit, just set up like a bag of oranges. So watch it explode at the end of the hill. Call it like a physics simulation. Make it a science camp. But the only
Throwing
science part,
stuff off
blowing
of
shit
a
up.
tall platform is a very good activity. You gotta
What
say.
happens at
Very
65
true.
miles per hour to an object? Bring snacks.
Stays-
Yeah.
Well, no. What you do is you kind of you inhibit the speed with some sort of brake thing and a harness set up, and then you give a kid a blade.
All they had to do was
and
realize
you
they spent.
you hang that fruit you were talking about, and then they're just doing Beat Saber like in person. They're just
We're just
flailing
maiming
blades
children with
parallel to
watermelons.
one another.
60 miles
And
per
they're
hour.
just swinging, hitting this stuff as hung on a swing, and then depending on which fruit you slice, and you'll be able to see that on the ground. And you I don't know, you get like a little keychain, you get like a bear, maybe
I
you get
fucked
like a
up.
cool ring.
I fuck up a $30,000 zip line. It's no longer a fuck up. You just gotta be like, it's a full rebrand, dude. We're a science camp now.
Hell
We
yeah.
watch shit explode on this giant tower. It would have been the easiest fix in the fucking history of the world. They
Having like a splashdown zone at the bottom would have been a good fix. Just like dig a
Ooh.
pool.
yeah, they could have just made it into just like suspend it over some water and then throw kids.
How
Yep.
safe would that be though?
Water. They have zip lines that go into water. You just need to have a flotation device
You're
somewhere.
going pretty fucking fast on the zip line though.
I'm sure it's fine. You can hit water going
Don't worry
60.
about it.
65 miles an hour.
Well, their
Yeah,
issue
that's
was they
someone
couldn't
else's
add enough
problem.
slack.
I think hitting water at 65 would still turn you into jelly.
Oh no.
Any
pretty
Goons
sure.
that are listening, I challenge you to make a thread on GBS. Goon Project, let's find something to do with the old zipline towers. And I want you to make that thread happen and see what comes out of it.
Okay.
There's literally
Yeah.
a YouTube channel where they just throw an aluminum dart off of a tower into shit on the just to put on the floor. And just, what happens? If a big old dart hits your shit.
Is that like those
Is that
southern
the name of the
guys?
YouTube channel?
Yeah, well, I don't know. That's big dart.
Is it like not the Dude Perfect? Is that those guys you're talking about?
I'm sure they got to guest star on the giant dart, but no, it was just some other crew. It's like a university has this dart for science, has a zone. They don't have the dart. They have a zone for science experiments that involve throwing shit off a tower. And these dudes are
Wow.
like, what if we had a 50-pound steel dart and we just put different shit on it, like a safe? Hit a safe with this fucking dart.
No one ever does something normal at a place fucking designated as a
What
zone.
if they turned it into a slide?
They could have also
Don't
just
look at
built a.
kids for this.
That's what
Like,
I'm thinking.
well,
I wonder if
that
they
nice
actually
tower.
did. Like, genuinely, I wonder if they just turned it. I guess it can't be a mudslide, but like, you can't just make snow out of nowhere
No,
either.
just like a basic steel or fiberglass slide. You can
Right.
adjust the angle. You can adjust the angle to whatever you need it to be, and
Yeah.
then have a
Cool.
really long slowdown zone at the end. There are slides that are that tall. I've been on slides. that tall.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
That would have
Always
been a good way
reliable.
to salvage this project.
Yeah, I don't think they
wouldn't be
spent 30K
surprised.
on this project. I think
I
they spent at least
genuinely
half.
wouldn't be surprised if you looked into it and like there was a giant slide out in Washington somewhere,
Yeah.
and this was the origin of that giant slide.
Man.
I don't know. That's actually pretty interesting because like, what else do you do? Fucking nuts.
You get
I mean,
fired because you.
It's also
flubbed
not clear if this was for a
$30,000
camp
project.
or if it was for. I thought it was for a summer camp, but that's not actually clear. It's like someone just gave.
I
him
believe the
money to do
Danielson
it.
recap said it was for a camp.
Someone's,
yeah.
It's. I think it is confirmed it was for a summer camp.
Poster
I mean,
was
we
made
could-
responsible of a project.
We could.
That's
We
what
We
it
are
is, yeah.
a journalistic entity of some sort.
True,
We could
yeah.
send this guy a message and see if he responds to us. I would be interested to hear how it turned out.
Absolutely. I think the first thing I think of is that could be like informed by a real, not a real world one-to-one example, but sort of like stuff you've seen before in media. When I heard of this idea initially, it sounded like a thing that sometimes did happen at summer camp specifically. I
Yeah.
think of my childhood memory
Yeah.
of like the idea of that being that movie Heavyweights before Ben Stiller like became very
Gotta give it
intense
up.
during the film
Gotta give it up for
Heavyweights.
Heavyweights when he's walking on broken glass and he's fucking.
Oh my god.
That's actually I remember as a kid being kind
The-
of freaked
the-
out by that.
The Mr. Show parody of this thing where at some point a kid from the colloquially known fat camp gets their throat slit by David Cross as a ninja. Very
Jesus
strange
Christ.
sketch. But yeah, I remember this, and like, yeah, that big balloon that kids would sort of be on, and then someone else would leap onto it and
The ones on a lake, yeah.
send them to careening.
There's totally summer camps are full of things that can go
Yeah.
horribly wrong for children.
Absolutely.
This stuff happens all the time, and you know, it's a numbers game. Some kid dies every now and then at a summer camp. Like,
Yes.
I don't want to defend that statement, but like, I think it does
yeah.
happen. Unfortunately, I went to a summer camp growing up, but it was a nerd one, so we didn't have like. I don't think anyone would have used the rope swing if there was one. That said, like, it is such an interesting thing that I forgot about the giant inflatable lake shit that happens and stuff. There's so many things that they've just put slightly older children in charge of children on and are like, yeah, make sure no one dies.
Yeah. No, we should have people that are like 16 and 17 helping kids like learn equestrian and horseback riding. No
Let's
one
play
will
a
be
game.
crushed. Let's play a game called Who's God?
I have a New York State Department of Health write-up, 2008 Children's Summer Camp Incident Summary. I want you all to tell me how many fatalities occurred
Oh
in
no.
2008 in the state of New York.
2008. Oh,
Around-
wait,
reported.
just the state of New York
15,
in summer
15.
camps.
You're
that
on,
were
motherfucker.
reported.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm
right. They
gonna
were reported.
say 4.
Okay.
46.
Oh, Jesus Christ, Michelle. There wouldn't be any summer
Rating
camps open
bodies.
ever again.
Some
if
right
there
rules
was...
here.
I'll take the
we're
under on
doing
Eliza's.
absolute-
Roll it out.
I'm
absolute
taking the
number.
under on Eliza's. and
Rolling
I'll
the
go free.
dice. Rolling the dice. Will I pay the
3.
price?
Lucy.
Oh, I already said 15.
1548. 4 and 3. It's 3 on the money. Good job, Jake.
Yes.
Pulling the $1 off.
Oh my
3
God.
fatalities occurred.
That's,
I don't know if we want to get into that. These are
listen,
kid
no,
deaths.
Yeah, we're not
Um,
supposed to. We're not
yeah.
here for that.
They got smoked.
We're not
at
here for
summer camp.
actual kid deaths. We're only here
Of
for
900
theoretical.
of 900 reported injuries, though. So I
Yeah,
don't know what
no.
the R value on that
Oh.
is, but it could
Oh,
be like
wow.
maybe up to 12 kid deaths. Then
It's just
if that's how that stuff works.
It's just
That's-
wild
that's-
that
I would say that's a number that could be easily covered by like anaphylactic shock from
Yes.
a peanut allergy.
I guarantee.
I know those
you
were other
yeah,
parts.
I guarantee you
Let me
allergies would do
see.
like more, but again,
Drowning is a big one for kids. Kids drown a lot. And
now we
then,
got
like,
Jason.
basic bodily harm. you
Let's
know, falling off
see.
stuff.
Okay, if you want to know, the basic summary was severe chronic health condition. So someone went in their sleep.
Oh.
Drowning during
There you go.
hiking.
Thank you.
Nope, you didn't bring your swim gear. don't spontaneously hike if you're a child, at least. And then last one was fell out of tree. That's
Oh, yeah.
classic.
That's it. I mean, that's
called
just
it. I
you
called
can
it.
you
I
can
called
do
all
that.
3 of those.
You can do that
Fuck
outside
yeah.
of a summer camp too.
I
Hell
am an
yeah.
expert
no.
on child mortality.
No, if some yellow jackets type shit is happening, Eliza is aware of
Oh,
this.
yeah.
Oh my
Well,
god, what if
I'm
they-
allergic to yellow jackets. I almost died when I was 4 because I got stung. So.
Oh my god. Oh, there's a
uh,
TV show called Yellow
yes.
Jackets. It's actually about people who crash in Washington State and get stranded and have
Nice.
to potentially start cannibalizing each other, and it's
Oh.
a women's soccer team in the 90s. But
Yes.
I'm now theorizing that what if they crashed and then came across the death zip line in the middle of the woods? Just built their new
yes.
culture around sending
Hell
people down the
yes.
zip line if they were bad.
Yeah. Oh man.
It's good shelter,
Yeah.
Lost in the woods. Be like, oh yeah, this is a finely built structure. I wonder what it's for.
It seems
So I
so
was
odd.
trying to find more on this, and I ran into something funny that I completely forgot about while I was trying to look for more details on the zip line. So do y'all remember that Condé Nast, like for a little while, they owned Reddit?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Condé Nast. I think it was their reaction to Pivot Video. Am I wrong?
No, this was in 2006.
Yeah, they bought Reddit.
Okay, that's long
but
ago. Sorry.
While I was trying to look for stuff related to the zip line, I found a post where the current owner of Something Awful, Jeffrey Avios posted that Condé Nast almost bought Something Awful instead of Reddit. So I'm just imagining
Oh
Zipline
my
of Death
God.
happening on a website owned by Condé Nast.
Was that when Low Tax got the 3 billion offer? Was that the
13
offer?
million.
Oh my god.
But the thing is Low Tax was extremely stupid.
Right.
Oof. Yeah.
He should have sold. Jesus Christ.
It's so
Wow.
wild to think that someone would have paid that much for Something Awful.
I mean, Something Awful was like very important to the internet culture at the time. I mean,
Absolutely.
it still is, but is definitely like taking a backseat recently. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
it would have been worth 13 million, honestly.
Yeah.
No,
I
absolutely.
mean-
13 million does make it sounds like totally reasonable, but just the idea of like a corporate it would just kill it. It would kill it. Something Awful would
I mean,
cease to be good the moment it got bought like that.
I
think.
mean,
Imagine trying to own a website that has FYD on it. Like that's
Exactly.
impossible.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, to be fair, they're like, I'm trying to think of the guy that recently bought 4chan, is now the current owner, like sort of basically paying pennies to do so, and like that
Oh,
might
wow.
mean that the Yakuza
Hiroyuki?
has part ownership over
Oh, wow.
4chan.
That owns.
That's,
Yeah,
I would've
this
looked into that.
this is very post moot stuff, where I think
Right.
I believe it's in Japanese ownership. I do not know if this has changed in the COVID era. But that's
It's
the
owned
last
by
I knew.
Nishimura Yukihiroyuki, the person who started 2channel, which was the
Yeah, he
inspiration
bought-
for 4chan.
So
The
he ended up-
inspiration.
That's pretty funny.
That's full
pretty funny.
I don't-
circles type shit
I don't
there.
believe that the Yakuza have anything to do. Oh my god, Hiroyuki studied at the University of Central Arkansas?
What?
Yeah,
really funny.
I'm looking at his Wikipedia. That is so weird. I've like been there.
Wild.
I wonder if he did an abroad program or something like that.
He opened 2channel
Yeah.
while he was studying in Arkansas. Like,
Whoa.
that is so funny. Related culture stuff that's happened
There's something
in
crazy
Arkansas.
about Arkansas, yeah.
Well, here's the thing. Weave, the infamous troll, used to live in Fayetteville.
Oh
Ah.
my god.
Wow.
There's a bunch of like Chan weirdos that have come from Arkansas. There's like something in the water.
It's pretty
Oh,
fucking
I
funny.
mean, God, shout outs to Sarah Hightower, also of
yeah,
Arkansas fame.
Guest on the
Uh,
pod in Arkansas, Ian.
Most normal Arkansas resident, Sarah Hightower.
I love Sarah.
I
We
mean,
should-
that's
Sarah's so
Yeah.
good.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
we want to have Sarah back this year.
Totally. Yeah, all this strange sort of cross contamination, and then it is weird at the end of the day. Any major cultural center in online that sort of has its own internal culture wars that like sort of give them infamy. Oftentimes they're like paid for with pennies. It's so wild to think of how much Tumblr
Yeah.
cost after a certain point in time.
Well, I'm sure like
Incredible.
Yeah, those the overall value of those websites like that, it has to be extremely volatile, like depending on how popular they are at any given moment.
What's
I know.
going on with Tumblr right now is pretty interesting.
Talk a little bit about that because I'm not familiar.
Yeah. Let's go.
It's well, I got back onto Tumblr like last year, and there's definitely like a Tumblr resurgence going on right now. Spurred in part by a bunch of articles coming out that are all talking about how like they're all sort of Tumblr post-mortems. They're like, Tumblr's dead, everyone left. Here's the cultural legacy of Tumblr. Meanwhile, Tumblr is like, I don't know what their user numbers are because they don't publish them, but I can say just anecdotally, Tumblr activity is way up. And it's not just old people like me going back to their old Tumblr accounts. I mean, like, the majority of the active fashion, like, cutting edge posters that I follow are 19 to 24 years old. So, like,
that's so
boomers,
funny. Cyclical.
Are going back to Tumblr, and they're using it in exactly the same way that we used Tumblr back in the usage of Tumblr has not really changed. It's the same. It's the same culture. The porn ban was actually a huge boon because all of those kind of annoying posters left all at once, and just the hardcore people were left to kind of hold down the fort, and they have done so. And now people are going back. It's very odd, and I'm very interested to see what's going to happen with it. They did something recently where they are just letting people pay $5 a month or $40 a year for no ads. And I signed up. I was like, yeah, sure. You know, I like your
I like
website.
the product.
I enjoy that model.
I want you to have a little
so
walking
much.
around money.
Yeah.
And hilariously, they recently, like within the past few days, put an option on their settings, on everyone's settings menu, that said show me ads anyway. And they did that because one of the topics on Tumblr all the time is people talking about the insane ads that they get.
That's so wild.
Because the Tumblr ad network is not high class. It's not the expensive, tailored, weird, creepy Facebook style ads that you get on Twitter.
Right.
It's like,
or like a YouTube ad.
It's fucking, the ads are just insane. They're like for I don't know, a very badly flash animated crude drawing of somebody blow drying their crotch, and if you click on it, it takes you to a semi-cultish diet product, like pills seller, and there's, I mean, people will just post
I love that shit
of ads they got.
My favorites are the ones that are like, it's like supposed to be advertising some game, and they're like, this guy's gonna die if you don't put stuff in the way. And it's like, it shows like a little man in a trench, and there's like lava about to pour on him or some shit like that. And there's like it's always like these horrible, dangerous scenarios that the ad is like, you played this game to save this man.
Yeah,
I've noticed on Tumblr. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say the current owners are a company called Automatic. They have something to do with WordPress. So there's some changes going on. I follow a guy on Tumblr. His username is Sreegs, which is SREEGS, and he is a former Tumblr engineer, so he knows a lot of the inside baseball, but he doesn't work there anymore. But his thing is kind of just like answering questions about how Tumblr works, and people send him asks, and he answers them in detail. And he actually has a lot of back and forth now with people who actually do work at Tumblr. So if you follow his blog, you get all of this information about what's going on at Tumblr right now, what happened in 2018, and all this stuff. So it's been interesting. There's no homeostasis right now. I think it could go hard either way, and I'm not sure exactly when it's going to happen.
I had two questions on that front. One was, okay, so obviously the porn ban or whatever. So I kind of had a twofold question, which was like, so pretty much nudity, etc., is in the past pre-porn ban, that's still like flatly no dice. That's off the table.
You can find it.
I mean, you could still find it retroactively. That much I know.
No, like people are still posting erotic content on Tumblr and getting around the terrible filter that they have.
I was about to say, but beyond that, the other question I wanted to ask was, where it will affect broadly everyone. I have feelings about erotic art and etc. or a lot of forms of photography where I feel it is within bounds of being fine art, if not transgressive art. People have different feelings on that. I don't want to litigate that, but I was curious for like everyone that does not apply to. You were talking about some really backwards filters at some point in time, like tags. You couldn't like use the word girls in tags or some shit.
Yeah,
Like, is
that
that
happened
still in play?
that happened a few months ago, and that was because
Wow.
of the Apple Store. The Apple Store handed down a bunch of they handed down all the tag bans. So that was not Tumblr. I mean, none of this is Tumblr. It's all Fosta Sesta or Apple. Because if you want anything on the Apple Store, you have to bend over backwards
Yeah.
to fit whatever their
Yep.
standards are. So that's where most of this stuff is coming from, and that's where
Yeah.
all of those tag bans came from. And I don't think that that was like a temporary thing because they needed to push an update, and the Apple Store was like, no, we found violating content under the selfie tag. So
Yeah.
you have to ban the
Wow.
selfie tag.
They
So
do whatever they want.
So
Yeah.
Oh,
insane.
I heard a different story on this, that like they didn't necessarily dictate what tags to ban, but like Tumblr had to ban any tags where they could easily find stuff that would contradict those rules. Or do I have that backwards?
I don't know. I'm just I mean, I don't know for sure, obviously. I'm just sort of reporting what I heard.
Hmm.
It sounds like Apple kind of just ran some sort of an automatic check on tags on Tumblr, and if they found anything in there, it got shut down. And then they changed it so that only those tags were banned on the Apple app. And then I think they have fixed it now, maybe, or maybe it's still.
You have to toggle a setting to see those tags.
So
That is
egregious. I mean,
So
there's
they
a
did-
similar. Oh, sorry.
Well, I mean, Apple has an issue where they will not apply these rules evenly to all of the apps that they allow on their store. So, for example, Twitter, full of pornography. It's kind of where a lot of people went after Tumblr got rid of the porno. And for some reason, it's not an issue. I
Right.
think the reason being that, like, if Twitter wasn't on the App Store, people would lose their shit. More so than Tumblr, because, like, there's not nearly as many people on Tumblr as there are on Twitter.
Yeah, well, and Twitter can afford to fight it. Twitter's got lawyers that are like,
Right.
actually, this is fine, and here's why,
Yeah.
and we will go to court to waste your time about this if you don't
Yeah.
let us push the update. And
I
Tumblr
mean,
doesn't. They don't have
yeah.
that money.
And I would guess I guess Tumblr had gated content, because all I was thinking is that if you go to an NSFW Twitter and you're not logged in, then you can't see it. So there's like maybe some presumption there that it's on the end of the
It's
user.
the same thing
But it's the same
on
for
Tumblr,
Tumblr.
though.
Yeah. So
Uh-huh.
then that argument doesn't really hold any weight. I was just thinking it out in my head.
Well, the Twitter engineers and the Apple engineers, I think, are a lot like closer.
Probably, yeah.
Because a lot of them run in the same circles.
I mean, yeah.
Like,
I mean, those are both.
person who
Yeah,
was in
they're both
for
very
Twitter.
big companies too. Like, I think I know people that have worked for both. Certainly
Like,
know
I
people
think
that have worked for
Twitter,
both.
whenever they send out an update, they don't even have to go through the review process that Apple makes most people go through.
Yeah, I'm sure
Whereas
that
Tumblr was so much smaller that, like, an update of theirs actually had to go through this review process, even though it was a major website.
I'm sure there are some sort of handshake type relationships for those bigger apps,
Yeah, definitely.
especially. Yeah, because it's such a pain in the butt to get anything through the App Store if you're not like on Twitter. That it would be insane if they were held to the same standards, given how much they get away with, how much they do.
Yeah. And I mean, like, another good example of this is like Reddit's apps. Like, you can find porn easily on it, but like you have to toggle a setting in the app, and that's fine for some reason.
Right.
Again, like, the
Little things.
application here is very unclear. For what it's worth, like, you know what? I lost my train of thought. Never mind.
I was gonna say on that specific note, I would like to politely request a break, folks. All right, we're all back proper.
That's
Welcome
right.
back, everyone.
Back from the break.
This is back from the break, fresh, prepared, ready to go. Fine paprika, fine spices, and herbs. There's a supplementary thread we'll say, that sort of has a lot of material catalog
I mean,
from this.
This is similar to the Grover House episode, where
Absolutely.
in addition to the main thread, there is also a Fiad thread, which is what's that? Fuck yourself and die, or
Fuck
is
you
that
and die.
fuck you
Yeah.
and die, which is obviously the primo comedy board of Something Awful. There's a archived thread of people making fun of this thread. For every great Something Awful thread, there must be a thread wherein other people make fun of it.
That's right.
Oh man.
It's actually done by Schnozberry, who was our hero that ended the regular thread that we were talking about. Who asked him to put up a test video footage of something colliding down into the trees.
So the
Incredible.
cultural relevance of the Fiad threads are, we know about Grover House, we know about the Zipline, etc. But each of these events in the cultural consciousness are associated with various catchphrases. And the catchphrases usually originate from the Fiad thread. So, for example, the Zipline, when we refer to it as a machine to kill children, which is one of the common things that you hear in reference to the Zipline, that came from the Fiad thread. So I just wanted to go through the Fiad thread, find the nuggets, the gold nuggets, and discuss and appreciate them for the fine examples of posting that they are.
One I found in the thread itself, attached to a post, says, "Welcome to Camp Fallout," and it's a solitary truck.
Yeah, that's the that's from one of the pictures he posted, where you can see the truck at the bottom of the hill, and it's like kind of the only sense of perspective you have, because everything else is just like woods and gray, like green and brown.
There's
you see this
truck
red
in the
truck,
gulch.
tiny red truck at the bottom of the hill, and it gives you you're like, oh my god, this is fucking huge. The other thing I love that I miss is that everyone's signature on this Fiad forum is 1,000 pixels wide by 800 pixels tall.
Well, that is
it's incredible.
That is part of the Something Awful and Fiad culture. There are opposing. You can set a signature on Something Awful because it's a forum, right? That's traditional. Well, the Fiad signatures are the worst and most obnoxious possible things that you can possibly do. So there are two factions, Sigs on and Sigs off. And you will actually see reference to Sigs on versus Sigs off crews, respectively, in the Sigs themselves.
Right.
So sometimes you'll see someone be like, yeah, Sigs on crew, and then there'll be 1,000 pixels worth of signature that you have to scroll past every time this person posts.
Yes.
So
yeah,
if you're a hardcore poster, you leave the Sigs on and you just do that extra scrolling.
I genuinely don't know who it is in this one person's signature. Their account name is Gene Roddenberry's, which is fucking exquisite. Mm-hmm. And it's just some naked politician, some painting of some. I would love to know who that is. And I've scrolled past this guy's junk over 24 times today.
Yep. Yeah,
it's hilarious.
The Sigs on experience for
it's
sure.
It's great.
Giovanni Cobra's posted, "Look at the man on your left. Now look at the man on your right. By the end of summer adventure camp, they will be dead."
Oh my god.
I just love the guy going, "That link owns CBQH."
Yes, that gets quoted 5 times.
Yeah, people just keep continuously quoting that, just being like, "This is hilarious. This is great.
That looks tree punk as hell."
Oh, this is the one I wanted to look for. It. This guy quotes. He says, "Lol, Goon's defending it," and then he pastes, presumably something from the original thread of someone. I don't think this is OP. I think this is just someone who stepped in. They were like, "Well, if you're going to critique this, then lock yourself in a little room and never leave it, because shit happens. No matter how much safety you slap into something, someone's eventually going to get injured because of it. No. I can randomly get mowed down every time I leave my house, yet I don't go on some sort of awkward paranoid rant about how at some point someone is going to get hit by a car just by stepping out of their front lawn, or how I'm just playing the odds that it won't be me." Yeah, that's the same. Stepping out of your front door is the same as going down a death zip, for sure.
Yep.
That's for sure, bro.
If when you are a child,
it does happen.
Your 8-year-old child, yeah.
It for sure happens.
Marisol Horny posted, "Zipline, more like zip parabola." Quoted, "Guy who makes XKCD found."
Yeah, that's
very
a pretty good one. That's actually
very
a pretty
good.
Fucking funny one.
Very
Giovanni Cobras posted, check ignition and may God's love be with you.
I just can't.
the road, the book, the movie, the theme park.
Yeah, the road, the book, the movie, the theme park is fucking great. Someone did a what's it called? Like a Camp Kanata meme of it that I gotta find a rhyme.
Oh yeah. For only $20 a day, we will throw your child off a mountain, killing them.
Oh, dude, someone did. Okay, someone collected all of these James Bond titles. Zip and let die. 40 miles per hour is not enough. Children aren't forever.
Very esoteric, this one.
You only zip once.
Actually, no. This one's too racist.
Someone else just posted A View to a Kill. Wait a second. It's like a real James Bond movie.
I bet the camp also has a lake with one of those big inflatable tubes that you jump on, but instead of launching another kid into the air over the lake, they get launched to another dock on the other side of the lake and die.
Literally, actually, the two best ones on your progeny's cemetery service instead of on your majesty's secret service. And then instead someone just posted groundraker instead of moonrake. I also love that the last post on this thread is someone going, I'm 9 and this is fucking cruel.
Casual Male XL fan posts, the zipline ends at the truck, but the ride doesn't end at the truck. From there, the kids are driven to the set of American Gladiators, where they must fight Blazebro, Nitro, and Wild Dog, all of whom have been given permission to use wrestling moves on the children.
They even cover when he, I'm trying to find it, they cover when he shuts the thread down, and they start quote tweeting, someone did something very ugly. They just keep saying that.
Triticum Guzzler posts, the advantage of the writers being so young is that once their life has flashed before their eyes, they still have some time to compose their last words.
After he banned it, someone posted Fayad saves lives after he deleted the thread.
People seem upset that it's so high, but if it were any lower, it would be in the path of the archery range.
Oh my god, someone's trying to find it in 2011. I'm trying to see if they followed up.
Oh, did you find another post?
It's just a goon being like, I'm a goon in Washington, please tell me where this is, I want to find it. But there's like no follow-up. Okay, no, here's the rhyme. Here's the really, I'm not gonna do it completely to tune. Hello Mutta, hello Fada. Here I am at Camp Zip Splatta. Camp is very entertaining, and they say we'll have some fun if kids stop raining. They say breaks aren't necessary, but these corpses seem contrary. These courtrooms will be arraigning these camp counselors whose clothing our blood is staining. It's pretty fucking great.
This one's bulleted. We also have a very special treat for the kids on their last day of camp. You mean the last day of camp, right? Oh, yeah, absolutely. Still, it's an awesome treat. Lots of awesome visuals. What is it? You ever see the end of 2001?
Zooming through hyperspace.
Someone just says, it even looks like an empty mass grave.
Oh, wow.
Put your child on the scale, please. Okay, seems to be larger than allowed height. I'll have to charge you an extra $50. Attaches child to Zipline. Headphones are $1 extra also.
Have several Goosebumps books over here. It's just the books unedited. Welcome to Camp Nightmare.
Yeah, I love the guy posting the RLs.
The sequel, Ghost Camp.
Ghost Camp.
Y'all that you can't see.
Oh my god.
Oh wait, there's another picture in the Fire thread of a different angle of the camp, and I think they photoshopped a mass grave onto it. Good job.
Mm.
If your child makes it to the end of the zip line and is not immediately killed by the impact, they will be issued Flintstones chewable science.
Welcome to the forest of the real.
Okay.
There's so many. The one thing I'm sad about is there's a lot of dead tiny pick links in this thread that I'm sure were very funny things at the time.
I was kind of getting towards the okay, well, now we've got some goatsy where the thread kind of enters its natural trajectory. Oof. God, what an old friend, goatsy, huh?
Oh yeah,
all
it's
through
funny
the years.
I don't even blink at that shit.
No, doesn't even register.
He's like an old friend.
Absolutely.
Kool-Aid man in your dreams.
Someone just this is a thread about zip lines, but someone did something really ugly.
I kind of wanted to ask you guys sort of I mean, we've sort of done it naturally, but I guess more specifically, has there been any sort of bird-brained project you've personally had as a kid? Like, doesn't have to be at this scale, obviously, but like what were sort of comparable in structure and that it's not really stable, but confidence wins out?
Not personally, but I wanted to read one last post, which was I wasted enough money to buy four Hyundai accents on an inefficient child killing contraption. I feel like I didn't have a lot of opportunities to do something that stupid as a kid. I had a kind of overprotective mata.
Yeah, I don't really have anything in terms of just thinking a really shitty idea would be really good and using all resources at all costs to perform it.
No way. I think we found it.
Hmm?
I'm looking into this. I don't think they would still be like associated with the project. Also, no, it's in Henderson, North Carolina.
Oh.
This is just, I guess this is just a camp that someone posted in the thread. Yeah, he's literally, I'm following up in real time. FBI, please disregard. That's funny.
No, I was a pretty I was exactly the same as a kid as I am now. Like if there was a project, I was going to do all the research and consult the experts. And also my parents never punished me for taking chances on stuff. So if I had crazy ideas, I would go and tell them about it, and I would get advice on how to do the crazy idea. So I didn't end up doing a lot of stuff where I was like, oh shit, I gotta hide this from my parents because they're gonna tell me it's dangerous and prevent me from doing it, which is good. I mean, that was probably a good parenting decision on their part. It's like, hey, if you're gonna do something stupid and dangerous, come and tell us. we're not gonna punish you for it. We'll just give you some advice. So yeah, not really. I mean, I did a lot of running around in the woods and stuff, but
for me and two brothers, it was naturally going to happen because with brothers,
right,
you're not necessarily in the same dynamic as say twins, but if you're close enough in age, there is sort of a group think you can form. What do you think is funny? What do you think is cool? And for us, we had a series of very structurally sound boards that came from something Dad had sort of bought from a friend for cheap, so they could sometimes do ad hoc stuff with his motorcycle and repair it. So we applied those boards to a ruined and destroyed couch that we had, and we got a new couch that came complete with a fold-out bed in it. So this current and new couch was very heavy but intact. We put the boards, flipped the couch forward, and made an incredibly structurally sound ramp with an incredibly dangerous upward arc off of the couch. You would have to go very steady, but it was flat and as such didn't bend a lot. So you would just if you put enough speed into it, running on dirt road and gravel, you could like leap over the thing, and it felt amazing. I felt like the coolest person. The suspension on the bike could handle it. My baby brother tried doing it with his bike that had training wheels. He got scared halfway through, started slowing down, but still maintained his balance on the board. The speed crept off, or like sort of crept off immediately, and he just flies forward, and like his head goes down with speed. He didn't get fucked up from this. He maybe had some scratches on his forehead, but he was bawling so audibly. It was awful. And of course, me and my older brother Larry absolutely laughing our asses off at the Tom and Jerry shit that has happened to our baby brother. Mom is like, what's wrong with you guys? We're just like, look, did you see that? I would like, we wished we had cameras. We were very dumb and always scraping ourselves, always getting like big things down our arms of just like stones and gravel we'd have to pick out and apply Neospore and etc. on. It just happened a lot. But yeah, it was sort of like David being really, really willing to get in on it with us, and like we could have that. It's weird and endearing, like trying to translate that feeling to like adulthood, which so permeates this whole bird brain fucking idea.
Yeah, I think to slightly tie a bow on it, I think it does go back to the original intention that these guys had, which was clearly not to kill children, but to try and make sure kids had as much fun as possible. The problem was they were fucking idiots about it. They didn't think anything through. They did. They dad camped it.
They said fucking 2 towers and string, baby.
They said, yeah, we'll get a couple of beers. We'll build. We know how to build.
We will find the snipe.
They
snipe.
So much confidence in their ability to actually build 2 platforms.
Oof. Once we make a zip line, those kids won't know what hit them.
They overlooked everything else, and then only then did they realize they had a problem, because they started testing it and doing math.
I know why you died last summer.
Yeah.
You know, one dude was raring to be like, I gotta be first. Let me get in there and give this a shot. And they're like, we should really throw a bag of sand down. And they talked this dude down for 30 minutes while he drank a beer, and was like, all right, let's throw a bag of sand down. Just watch it gets annihilated. He throws up off the side of the platform.
It would be like, I would love to have seen if they ever ran anything down as a test. I think it stopped at the theoretical. I forget. But they were just like, there's no way this is going to be right. And after they built it.
They were stoked the entire time, like, this is fucking sick. No way. And then when they got to the first flight, seems a little quick. It's just a fucking explosion.
Thank God.
Immediately running to a computer. Hey guys!
Oh my God.
Yeah, the fucking war photo.
That picture Eliza has. Yeah.
The last thing you see before you die, before you slam into, because that's the lower platform.
Hell yeah.
I still do stuff like this as an adult. Last time it snowed like 2 years ago, I got a video of this. I was on Capitol Hill and everyone was having a party at fucking 2 a.m. because it snowed. It never snows.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
we get icy hills.
Everybody gets a beer, gets their sleds, or steals road signs or whatever, because nobody has a sled.
Wow.
And the hills in Seattle are insane. So when it snows, it's like, if you want a sled, you're gonna fucking sled. So somebody built a jump, and I'm 30 or 40 years old, but I got on that fucking sled and I went over the jump and we got some hella air. It was great.
Hell yeah.
I think that that's an important thing to keep doing as you get older. Because you miss out on stuff big time if you.
It's fun to do adrenaline pumping activities, especially like physical ones. However, you may find that.
Oh yeah.
He did not like it. He did not like the sled.
Oh yeah, I can't imagine a dog being like, what?
He was like, "What are you doing?" And he ran alongside the sled and tried to pull me off.
He was like, "No, I'm gonna save you. I'm saving you."
We tried to teach him to ride on the sled, but he didn't really get it.
That's not much of a dog thing.
He does understand pulling a sled. So we sort of we
That's
attached
cute.
some ropes to his harness and then put it on the sled, and then we taught him how to mush, and he liked that a lot. So we bought him a husky harness, you know, the kind that they use for actual sled dogs. And next time it sleds or it snows, we can hook him up to the sled the right way. So I think he'll like that.
Two more thread jewels. One is just to the tune of "Heard It Through the Grapevine." I hurtled down the zip line, which is pretty great. And the last is that, so like towards the end, it's funny, you get an idea of how this forum culture works in the first place. Goldmine or closed before more shit posts like this are made here by weekend FIAD. So people, like, there's even a divide between people who only post on weekends, I guess.
Yeah, weekend crew.
And then
yeah, there's always a push to close the thread before it becomes unfunny.
exactly. And so in response, this guy finishes off with a limerick and says, "There once was a goon from Nantucket who built the zip line, then said, fuck it. The calculations, he said, as a child lost his head. I'll leave to the goons to debunk it." Which is, that's so stupid and so great. I feel like every goon thread should have a limerick at the end.
Honestly, that's kind of like
There once was a man from Grover. You know,
oh no.
some shit like that.
I mean,
but-
honestly,
no, it would start "A man from the Great Dismal Swamp."
True. This is true.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's plenty of fucking good ways to do that. But yeah, the and then shortly after, someone quotes Goldmine, and the last post is, "I'm 9 and this is fucking cool."
Oh man. Yeah, I think generally, just to, as Jake said, put a bow on it. I think it definitely straddles a fine line, but like a real intangible desire that I think people should pursue more often, which is, you know, play also sort of has a inherent sense of risk, I think sometimes. Where I currently live, a lot of people are into mountain climbing, or at the very least trail hiking, or kayaking, various high intensity river and mountain activities. Like the need is there to put some skin in the game, while you sort of enjoy the sights and experiences that sort of in many ways make life worth living on certain terms. Like maybe that isn't how you get your rocks off. Maybe it's fast cars, etc., or thrilling imagery, thrilling creation, like shit, glass blowers, for example. For some fucking reason, so many of those people in the Pacific Northwest, despite the fact that, yeah, you could just have molten glass go down your throat. There's like there's commitment that does go between, yeah, delusion and sort of artistry and personal enjoyment. Like this is for me to communally enjoy with others. Like I think yeah, the motivation is pure and sort of earnest almost, but the problem is it runs aground of like, no, actually this is the logical way to do this. And I think the key to actually making something real is like whittling that down and making some honest concessions, which is, yeah, no, a lot of this shit is dumb and dangerous, but like if you want in, go into that with your eyes open.
Dear Mother, Camp Zippy Week 3 is fun. No longer afraid of death. Odd distaste for life. Tomorrow's activity is round 2 of telephone line or power line, and I don't care if I lose. Might try and sabotage Colin's turn. There is only one day left, always starting over. It is given to us at dawn and taken away from us at dusk. Jean-Paul Sartre. Best wishes, Corey, age 8.
I am Michelle Perez. As always, I'm joined by my buddy Jake, my buddy Ruben, and my buddy Eliza Gager. This has been the Pig Iron Podcast. As always, I'm Michelle Perez. Have a good night, everyone, and take it easy.